Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. So glad you could join us during this winter holiday break, this cold snap that we're feeling here in Milton. And we hope to get warmed up with a little hot stove action here with the Red Sox, their acquisition of Alex Bregman, and the conflagration it seems to have started down in Fort Myers with Rafael Devers and some of his teammates. And then, of course, you've got the Four Nations hockey all the way heated up. Boy, I'm telling you, with the U.S., Team USA getting ready to face off against their arch rival, the Team Canada, in the finals of the Four Nations face-off here in Boston. And then, of course, we've got the NBA All-Star Game. We can talk a little bit about that. And, of course, the Milton High girls hockey team. We want to give out a special shout-out to Coach Matt Lodi and the Wildcats, ranked 12th in the Globe Top 20 poll. They had a nice write-up in the Globe on Wednesday, and in advance of their playoff game upcoming in the Division II playoffs, where they'll likely draw a first-round game here at Ulen Rink. We're still uncertain. That's to be decided, but the Wildcats coming in on an incredible 13-game win streak, Al. They lost on New Year's Day, a sobering loss, 7-1 against Archbishop Williams. Coach Lodi gathered his team and I think in a course correction, got them together and said, hey, look, we got a lot of hockey left in front of us. We can't let this define us. And, Al, they went on a heater like no other. They won like 13 in a row. Now they're at 16-3-1 and looking really strong. They went to the quarterfinals a year ago. They were backstopped by Lila Shamoon, who's now playing at Division III Framingham State. And they have now a freshman, Kata Hart. I apologize, I mispronounced her first name, but they're getting some great goaltending and some leadership. Molly Murphy, a senior, for this team. And so it's a team that is poised to make an even deeper run in the tournament. And hats off to them and for what they've done. And of course, like I said, they're ranked number 6 in the MIA Power Rankings. So they look like they're going to be drawing a first-round home game in the tournament. So as soon as we find out the particulars of that, we'll try and get that out to you. But congratulations to the Lady Wildcats, and we'll be keeping an eye out on them. And if you haven't, go online or get a paper, the Globe. They'll get a nice sense of what that team has done so far to the season and how the program has really is on an upward trajectory right now. So congratulations to the Lady Wildcats. And Al, let's turn our attention to the hot stove talk down in Fort Myers. Al, it was a seismic event, I thought, when the Red Sox announced they had signed Alex Bregman, the Gold Glove third baseman who played for the Astros, coming in. I think it's a 3-year, Al, $120 million deal with some options.
He can opt out after the first year and after the second year, but $40 million, a lot of money.
There's a lot of money, and the conflagration got heated up when Rafael Devers, the present occupant of third base, and I would say probably the tenuous occupant at third base right now, came to proclaim that third base was his position, that's what he played. Well, as one could imagine, it caused some consternation in the clubhouse. Maybe it was not quite the welcome mat that most people would have laid out for Alex Bregman, who comes with a championship pedigree, said all the right things when he arrived here, does all the right things, is in shape, whereas Rafael Devers came in nursing shoulder injuries that caused his production to decline in the latter half of the season. You see he broke down, spent the offseason apparently getting in shape and looked nowhere near in shape when he met with the media. I would venture to guess, Al, he was probably about 250, 250 pounds, if that's, putting it kindly. But and meanwhile, Alex Bregman comes in and he's getting work done on the field and the batting cages, preparing to be the third baseman. And I think that's where he eventually will wind up.
Well, I mean, they asked him, and he said, "I'll go wherever they want me to play.
Which is the right thing to say again.
Which is the right thing.
Yeah.
But where Devers is making a big mistake, two places. One is he's probably the worst defensive third baseman.
Not probably, he is.
Well, probably. I mean, he's gotten better in each year, but not much better. Secondly, he had an off season last year in terms of his bat. So you really look at Devers and say, you put him in the lineup for his bat, which could be a DH, which he doesn't want.
Right.
You can't put him, you want to put your best player at third base because it's you've got Story at short and Bregman at third, which would give you the left side of the infield locked down.
Right.
And he wants to play third, and he's not not the best third baseman. So what he did was wrong for two reasons. One, it sets the wrong message for a new kid coming in, and he's not the manager. He signed a 10 or 11 year deal to play baseball, not to play third base. Because if you look at it, he's not a good third baseman.
Yeah.
So I just think it caused more controversy than it should have. And then Tristan Casas coming out saying that he's the best third baseman in baseball. In baseball, incidentally, I mean, is a mistake.
He makes the remark out in front of all the media, and it was so disingenuous and self-serving.
Well, he's
because he's a guy who stands to lose his job.
Yeah, well,
if they do move him to a DH/first baseman.
Yeah,
and now he becomes expendable, and I think he realizes that. So he rides his quote unquote to the defense of his teammate, and making the ludicrous comment that he's the best third baseman in baseball. But he's oblivious to the fact that the Red Sox went out and got the best third baseman in baseball, the Gold Glover, the reigning Gold Glove third baseman in the AL. And how do you sit there and make that remark to the media, which is kind of like asking him to take in a ball-faced lie
He's
and
always
misrepresentation.
been a loose cannon, Casas. He's sticking up for his teammate, and here's what might happen. They will be teammates, but not on this team.
Same team, yeah. They'll package them together.
You could package Casas and Devers to any team that needs a third baseman or a hitter. More a hitter than a third baseman.
Well, and in return for what, a first base prospect?
No, pitcher.
Another pitcher. Wow, they got a lot of pitching though, Al.
Yeah, but they've got a couple of 1 and 2. They got a 3, 4, and 5 questions.
Well, you got Tanner Houck, you got Bello.
Good question.
Yeah.
Bello, question. He's also got,
I think
an arm issue.
I think it's 4 and 5 right now.
Well, maybe.
I mean, because you got Walker, you got Crochet, you got Walker Buehler.
I don't think Walker Buehler is that great of a pitcher, but I mean, he had a great postseason. But they got to hope that Crochet numbers carry over better with this team. Okay, but he's still pitching at Fenway Park in a lot of games, which is not the easiest ballpark in the world to be a pitcher. So I look and say, pitching is the name of the game. Pitching and defense, they've helped themselves compared to where they were last year.
Correct.
Now, Devers coming in and making the statement that he made, which was unequivocal. He's just sitting there going, "Are you going to play?" No,
right. He wouldn't even entertain the notion.
And then, of course, Cora comes out and says, "Well, that was something that Bregman and Devers have been talking, and we've all been talking, and it was the first, conference that they had." So you know what? I think that'll all settle down, and at the end, though, he's going to be an unhappy camper. Yeah. If he's an unhappy camper, Devers, because I don't think Bregman will be.
It makes it easier to move him.
Not only that, the Red Sox are just going to say, "You're not that good of a third baseman."
Right.
And
here's the numbers to prove it out.
And your numbers have dropped last year in terms of, and you've had some injury issues.
You're starting to break down.
So who knows?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But but Al, I threw the ball. Don't you love it? Don't you love that this stuff is going on? I mean, that it's like, okay, there's something to care about now.
Well,
there's something to be excited about with the Red Sox down in spring training, where a year ago it was kind of like a futile exercise because you looked at the composition of this roster and there was nobody to get excited about.
Well, let me put it this way: excited even before the controversy on Devers. I think what he did was bad for the team.
Correct.
So before that, everybody was saying, you know what, they got pitching, they got some hitting now, they've got some defense that they didn't have.
Yeah.
They got, hopefully, Story back healthy, and Bregman at third base, and all this stuff, and everybody was looking up. Their pitching's improved, their relief pitching's improved. On paper, they're a better team than that won, what, 80? 81, 82
81
games?
games.
Yeah, 81
Yeah,
games.
81 games.
So, you know, you throw 10 more games in there and they're in the hunt. They're in the hunt.
Without a doubt, Al.
So,
is this a
but
100-win
paper-
tean? Can this be a 100-win team?
No. On paper, they look good, but I've seen many of paper teams not make it. The
Paper
Bruins,
Tigers, yeah.
if you wanted to seg to hockey, there's a team that was considered to be, whether they were considered to be a Stanley Cup champion, but at least in the playoff hunt, that's struggling
Yeah.
to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you know, I watched the tournament, and
Four
before
Nations?
the game even started,
Yeah.
the Canadian and the Kachuk brothers took their gloves off, and then they go to the box, and 7 seconds later, another fight breaks out.
Yeah.
But it goes to show you one thing about hockey is an emotional game.
Yeah.
By example, the Americans played the Swedes Monday. They didn't have McAvoy. They didn't have Kachuk. And the Swedes...
Either's Kachuk, I think. Both of them.
Yeah, but I mean, the Swedes played and won 2-1.
Yeah.
Without the emotion that those guys bring.
Yeah. I mean, it was still... What we saw,
And
what we
it
saw on
didn't mean
Saturday night
That's
was
hockey.
electric, Al.
That's
I mean, I was up out of my chair, like rock 'em, sock 'em to be, and the fact that it was the Kachuk brothers. Now, I have to admit to everyone that, you know, I'm kind of like, you know, stuck in this conundrum with the Kachuk brothers. I really dislike Matthew Kachuk. I really dislike him. But I absolutely love Brady Kachuk, man. I love what he brings. I think, Al, he's a Bruin. I say, let's make him a Bruin. Go get him. Go bring this guy to the Bruins.
Yeah.
You know, do whatever you can to move heaven and earth.
Bruins.
Because, Al, that's going to change the complexion of a playoff series against the Florida Panthers. When you have Brady Kachuk, you know, mashing his little brother into the glass.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. Al, I would love to see that.
Would never happen.
Come on, Al.
It would never happen. That would be like
They said
saying
Alex Bregman would never come here.
If the Bruins got Maurice Richard, they would have won the Stanley Cups, and the Canadians wouldn't. I mean, they're not going to happen. First of all, both of the Kachuk brothers are about the same. They both rock 'em, sock 'em. You don't like Matt or Brady?
Al, don't crush my soul.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
everybody
you're
hates Marchand
soul
because he's
crushing
that
dream.
type of player. I mean, it's amazing.
But
Marchand-
I mean, Al, don't you love him? Don't you love the guy? I mean, you love, Brady Kachuk. He gets out there and he's like, oh my God. I mean, you don't realize how big and how strong this guy is.
I like that style of play,
Yes, me
but that
too.
doesn't
Me too.
necessarily mean, you know, when I look at the Bruins, I mean, Marchand, Sullivan is coaching this team, and he said a couple of things I thought was interesting. He said Marchand, and so did the other guy, the coach for
John Cooper for
Montreal.
Yeah, Team
he
10.
said, you don't realize how great a player Marchand is until you have to coach him and watch him play and how the players go on. If the Bruins trade him, I think it would be a travesty.
Yes,
to have somebody who's a Hall of Famer.
He should be, and he should be a Bruin for life.
Well,
you know, they should make him a Bruin for life. But Al, I'd say move heaven and earth to try and get Brady Kachuk here.
No, they wouldn't do it.
They got to do it. They got to go up and say, hey, look. And you know, you don't think Don Sweeney has entertained the thought that he's like sat there, watched this guy playing on Boston's home ice, and saying to himself, man, if we could have get a guy like that.
What do they have to
Whatever
give?
whatever it takes, Al.
No.
Whatever it takes, Al.
No.
Whatever it takes.
Oh, you'd give Pasternak.
Whatever it takes.
Oh, come on.
Come on, Al.
They're not even
you
in
got to
the same
think outside
category.
the box.
They're
You got
not
to think
even
outside
in the same
the box.
You're not even in the same category.
Well, you know what? Let's
Pasternak's
see
a
what it takes.
superstar.
Okay, just find out what it is.
So what
would the Senators take? You know, for
They'd
Brady
probably.
Kachuk?
I'll tell you what they'd need from the Bruins. They'd need McAvoy, Pasternak, Marchand, and Swayman.
I'll part with Swayman. I'll part with Pasternak. I'll keep Marchand
Oh my God.
and McAvoy.
Oh no. How do you keep Marchand without Pasternak's the best player on the team, by far.
Well, you still got Zacha.
Oh, Pavel Zacha. He's another one. If you go, Pasternak has to go with Pavel Zacha. No, but you know.
Whatever, Al. You know what though? Entertain it. Get the conversation going. Let them know you're interested in this guy.
No.
Let's reach a consensus. You know, okay, you hit me. That's your offer. I'll counter you and I'll say, Al, I appreciate your offer, but let's bring it back to the real world. All right.
It'll never
We'll
happen.
give you what has he got left on his contract? We'll pay the freight on that, so you don't have him on your books. You're going to get like cap space. You can go out and get another guy. We'll give you some picks too. And then you know what? We have some beautiful prospects down in our. And you know what? Well, you want to sell it out.
Well, you want to sell it. Nobody's going to buy it.
And then you're going to say to them, and you know what? I'm going to throw in
what?
I'm going to throw in Jeremy Swayman, and you know what? I'll go in halvesies on his contract.
Swayman's had a bad year.
I'll go in halvesies on his contract. We're going to pick up the contract on the thing. No. Come on, Al. Let's make a deal.
Much money.
Let's make a deal. You know? So that's what you got to do, Al. You know, that's what you got to do.
Well, you got to do something that's, first of all, the Bruins have no player that anybody wants other than Pasternak, Marchand, Swayman, and McAvoy.
Well, do you think they know that? Do you think they know that, Senators?
Oh, of course they do. They all know it. Well, if you look down at them, they bringing up what's his name, Tufty tonight for the game Saturday.
Yeah.
He's got the most goals, second most goals down in Providence.
Patras?
Patras, you know, these are what do you call players?
Patras is like an AHL scoring machine.
No, you know what he is? So is Lettieri.
Vinny Lettieri? Okay, let's package them then.
Nobody wants them. Those guys are minor league players.
Okay, well, you know, they bring them and put them in.
So how you get a kid like, there's no way. The Bruins are in as bad a shape from the team that they have to what they have in the minors as I've ever seen.
Right.
And you know, the real problem is everybody thought they were going to make a run this year, one more time.
Yeah.
And now that they're not going to do it, and then if McAvoy is out for 2 weeks, they're sellers. They'll get rid of Trent Frederick. They'll get rid of 3 or 4 guys and get nothing, very little in return.
Well, I say go to the Senators.
No.
Go talk to the Senators. Say, hey, look, we're going to be selling here at the trade deadline.
So
what would you take?
So what you're saying is, give me minor league players and I'll give you Kachuk.
No. I'll ask you what you want. I want to get the conversation started. And then we start, this is the art of the deal, the negotiation process.
A deal has to have benefit for both teams.
I want to know what you would take. I want to know what you would take, and then I'll counter. So give me an offer.
I would say a deal, all trades have to benefit both teams.
Parties, right.
On paper.
Right.
Because as we showed in Boston, we trade players
if I pay the freight on his contract, doesn't that benefit you?
No. Bruins have nothing to offer anybody. If they don't have the guys that come up from their farm system to help them,
and I offer to pay the freight on Jeremy Swayman.
No.
But you know what? Wouldn't that reunite? Isn't Olmark there?
Well, Linus Olmark is.
You know, you could reunite the bromance between the two guys. But unbelievable. You know, we can dream out. You know, and I sat there thinking about that. I was like, oh
without
my God,
McAvoy and Kachuk, if Kachuk doesn't play Thursday night, the Canadians will win that game.
No, I think both of the Kachuks are playing.
Well, if they play, but even without McAvoy, I mean, Sullivan, who's his father-in-law, incidentally, said that Charlie McAvoy.
You know, it's kind of mysterious, Al. Why would they admit him to MGH in the middle of that game on Monday?
Well, if
he just had like an upper body injury. I'm thinking this is something else. And then they said it was an infection.
But he had it before. So he had the upper body, but don't forget he was out for quite a while.
I think he may have been sick.
This is the infection as a result of the prior thing, because he didn't get hurt that bad in any of these games. What it did, it aggravated.
He laid the wood to a couple guys.
Well, but that wasn't where everybody thinks it happened.
I mean, that hit to McDavid
when he went into the
boards.
Post.
Okay.
So, anyway.
Oh no, that was Kachuk who went into the post.
No, Mac did too.
Okay.
But I think the problem with McAvoy right now is he came back. Lindholm hasn't come back.
Well, I think he might be on
well, Lindholm, they're going to rush him now in because they need him.
Yeah.
And if he's out for 2 weeks, the Bruins are sellers.
Yeah.
And if they're sellers, half of that team that you see right now will not be with them next year.
Yeah. Well, Al, the thing that I think was a benefit to the NHL and to hockey was that this Four Nations hockey tournament
10 times better.
Better, Al. I mean, it just like it is a home run for the NHL to have these players invested and playing and giving their all. And you know what, Al? It's when you're playing for your country that it brings out this effort.
Yeah, but
okay?
what it does is, it's twofold here. If I'm a GM, it's twofold,
Right.
okay? One, for the overall benefit of the NHL and hockey, it's the best thing that they could have done.
Right.
Because the All-Star games are 19 to 18, 20 to 19. Nobody's checking.
Nobody's watching now.
It's a stupid thing to watch.
What did they have? 15 million people watching that game?
So
or something
then you
like that?
put this tournament together, which,
Yeah.
you, like you said, is nation honored, if you will.
Right.
Here's the problem. These guys are playing their hearts out, and then you get injuries.
They're
And
running
if
the
I'm a
risk of injury.
GM,
Right.
I'm sitting there saying, I don't particularly want Pasternak or McAvoy to play and get hurt, because if it is, then I got to come back and play for the Stanley Cup, and I don't have the guys to do
Without
it.
them. Yeah,
These are the stars.
That's the caveat right there.
Well,
and I think that's the thing
that's the biggest conundrum a GM has is
and that's
who
probably why
goes and who
people
doesn't.
go into these All-Star games and they're not at their competitive best, because you know what? They're all taking it easy.
Yeah, they
they all
don't care.
realize there's like a gentleman's
joke.
agreement. It's just like in the NBA,
a joke.
and you know that was, I mean, a made-for-TV event where you know it was all gimmicks and
Well, yeah, before
three-point
the
shooting
game,
contest, dunk
yeah,
contest.
who's
By the
the
way, Al,
fastest?
did you watch the dunk contest at all?
I did, yeah, a little.
Unbelievable.
I
This
hate
guy,
that.
Mac McClung,
I don't like
he's
that
like,
stuff.
well, I mean, but Al,
I know.
this guy's won it 3 times in a
I know,
row.
I know.
Jumping over cars and guys and like
I saw it.
7-footers, and he's dunking,
That to me,
reversing.
I have no interest in that at all.
Oh, Al, I am totally interested in that. But if that's all you got,
I know.
if that's all you got, really, what's the
gimmick.
point?
Yeah, it
What's
is.
the point? You know, give the guys a week off, let them recharge. You know, don't put them through this rigmarole. You know, I think Jason Tatum could have used the time off.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of running up and down like they did. But you know, the thing is that
I don't understand what the LeBron James Brown controversy is. There's this thing going around that they don't like each other.
Well, I think it stems from the fact that there was video of Jaylen Brown during, I think, the summer league in Vegas.
Yeah.
Brown showed up to watch LeBron James' son play, and you could clearly hear them when he was watching. He's looking and evaluating his son's play.
Saying he wasn't ready.
He said he's not an NBA player.
Yeah, he said it. But
And you know what, Al? As is
Maybe
the
that's
case
it, huh?
with most competitors, game recognizes game. And Jaylen Brown did not recognize any game whatsoever in that kid. And I think it came back. And
I
of course,
guess.
you know, being a dad, being protective of his son, getting ready to play with his son for, you know, the first time in his career, he took umbrage to it.
Yeah.
And so then here comes the Olympics, right? Grant Hill is the guy who's operating, and they're both Nike guys, and Jaylen Brown is not. And so Jaylen Brown gets snubbed, all right? Jaylen Brown is the NBA Finals MVP. You cannot tell me that he's not one of the best players in the
Jason
league.
Tatum, too. I
Well,
mean,
same
got
with
snubbed.
Jason
I mean,
Tatum.
you
Well,
talk
no,
about-
but he played, but he got snubbed by Steve Kerr.
Yeah, well,
And that was, I think that was even worse. But the thing is that they left him off, and I think there was a conspiracy afloat that LeBron James was behind that.
Yeah.
And he says, look, I cannot play with this guy. You know, and so it is what it is. But we all recognize here in Boston that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, you know, they're the reason that this team
Tatum-
looks like they're going to repeat right now if they stay healthy.
He's the
Knock
best.
on wood.
He's one of the best players.
Well, no
by far
doubt,
in the
Al,
league.
no doubt. And you know what? I love the way Kristaps Porzingis is playing. I love that. I love the way they're incorporating their bench now. I mean, they are totally, and they won some great games, high-profile games against the Cavs. you know, against the Knicks, the way they played.
Knicks, yeah.
You know, they got the Knicks again coming back out of the All-Star break, and then I think who did the Bruins play? Who, Anaheim, coming out?
No, it might be.
Yeah,
Saturday, I think
yeah.
it is.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they fare coming out of the break, and I think if they have a strong run here in the first week, headed into March, you know, with you know, having maybe seized the #1 seed, no one's catching them. I don't think, Al. You know, I don't. Although I like what the Bucks did at the trade deadline. I think they added some important pieces. They got rid of 2 guys that I thought were defensive liabilities. They couldn't guard their positions, and they replaced them with guys who can, and that's going to make the Bucks even better, I think. And
I think the Celtics are in great shape.
Yeah.
The Bruins might not even make the playoffs for the first time in years.
I don't think they are.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
and I agree. I think they become sellers.
Yeah. Well,
So let's go get Brady Tkachuk.
If McAvoy doesn't play for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they're going to be sellers because they can't win without any defense.
Oh yeah.
Just another item, just before we
Sign off.
what's his name? Sinner.
I knew you were going to mention that.
3 months.
Wow. What about the furor that's caused with?
Well, you know what? I think Djokovic and all of these players are
kind of
right.
rose to the defense, right?
Well, no, they didn't. But what they said was the tennis association doesn't seem to have continuity in how they handle these things. Now, supposedly, Sinner said, "I didn't know what they gave me. You know, I had a thing on my finger, and the guy gave me a spray. Supposedly, had it in there twice." And then he got rid of the kid who was working with them.
Yeah.
But, you know, you had Halep that was almost a year.
Yeah.
That for doing, you know.
Similar to, yeah.
And you know what? If Sinner gets 3 months for saying I didn't know, then you got to take Ortiz out of the Hall of Fame because he says he took it but didn't know too.
I don't know about that, Al.
Well, I look and say be consistent.
But Ortiz never played tennis.
No, I'm talking about in baseball. They did the same thing by saying, this is a metaphor. One says, I didn't know what I was taking.
I would submit to you, Al. That's a mixed metaphor.
Well, it is a mixed, and then you know what? No, I'll say it. I mean, he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's a hot take, Al.
If you want to put Roger Clemens in there, and you want to put Sosa in there, and you want to put McGuire in there, and you want to put Bonds in there, they're not in there. Why is he in there? He did fail the drug test.
Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. Al's hot take on the Hall of Fame and who deserves to be in. Well, anyway, so that'll do it for us. I want to thank my main man, Al Prizzuti. I want to give a shout out to the Milton High girls hockey team, ranked number 12 in the Globe Top 20 and number 6 in the Division II MIAA Power Rankings. Good luck to them in the upcoming playoffs, and we look forward to seeing you here next time on Stepping Up to the Plate. Take care, everybody.